This question reads, the manager of a photography business must assign at least 2 photographers to each of 2 graduation ceremonies, one at Silva University and the other at Thorne University. Exactly 6 photographers are available, F, G, H, K, L, and M, but not all have to be assigned. No photographer can be assigned to both ceremonies. The following constraints apply. Alright, so we have our photographers, F, G, H, K, L, and M. We have 2 different ceremonies, S and T. We know that there's at least 2 photographers to each graduation, and we know that not all have to be assigned. So let's go ahead and draw one more row for those who don't have to be assigned, delineated by an X. And we know that no photographers can be assigned to both ceremonies, so we can depict that, not both. So let's go to the rules. Rule number 1, F must be assigned together with H to one of the graduation ceremonies. So F and H are in a block. Rule number 2, if L and M are both assigned, it must be to different ceremonies. So if we have L and M, then they're not together. The contrapositive would be if they are together, then either L is not in or M is not in, but that doesn't actually make sense, so we're not going to write the contrapositive out. Rule number 3, if G is assigned to S, then L must be assigned to T. So if G is assigned to S, then L is assigned to T. Contrapositive if L is not assigned to T. Now we can't act like this is a binary and say L not assigned to T means L assigned to S, because not all of the photographers have to be used. So L not assigned to T, then G not assigned to S. And rule number 4, if K is not assigned to T, then both H and M must be assigned to it. So if K is not assigned to T, again, we can't say that that's K assigned to S because not all of the photographers have to be assigned. Then H is assigned to T and M is assigned to T. Contrapositive, H not assigned to T or M not assigned to T, then K assigned to T. All right, so what are our most restrictive rules here? We know we have this FH block, and we know that they are going to be assigned together to one of the graduation ceremonies. So let's draw out FH block in S and FH block in T. So we have our first scenario with FH block in S, and then we'll draw out a second scenario with FH block in T. So if we have H and S, that means we don't have H and T, which triggers our rule that K must therefore be in T. So we have K and T, and then we can have either G, L, or M, and then any one of the rest can go in with K, so either G, L, or M. And then in our second scenario, we have a couple of options. Well, what's our next most restrictive rule? Rule number 2 tells us that if L and M are both assigned, they're not assigned to the same ceremony. So let's play with this rule in this second option. So we're going to play around with L and M being both in, L and M not being in, and then one of L and M being in. So if we have both L and M out, that leaves G and K, but if G is in S, we know from rule number 3 that L must be in T, so this doesn't work because we have L out. Now let's try both L and M in. So if L and M are in, one has to be in S and one has to be in T. So let's place L and S for this second option, and then M here. We still have one more to go here. We can choose from either G or K. Well, if we put G in S, then we know L has to be in T, and L is in S here. So we're going to place K here, and we know G can either go in T or not be assigned. And this works because K is not in T, and when K is not in T, H and M are in T, and that rule is being abided by. So this is our second option. Now, let's draw out our third option. We're still in the option with F and H being in T. We've tried out L and M not being in, and that didn't work. We've tried L and M both being in, L being in S. So let's try now L and M both being in, L being in T. So we have L and T, M and S. Now we have M not in T, so that means K is going to be in T. And so we still need one more in S, and that forces G to be in S. And rule number 3 tells us that when G is in S, L is in T, and that's fine. This rule has been abided by, and we have everyone assigned. And then we have a fourth option of only one of L and M being assigned. So if we have L out, that means L is not in T, which triggers a contrapositive of 3. So that means G is not in S. So we have to have K and M be in S because we have to fulfill 2 photographers in each ceremony. And now this is going to trigger rule number 4. K is not in T because K is in S, which means H and M both have to be in T, but we have M and S here, so this doesn't work. Now, let's try this again with M being in and L being out, but M being in T. So L is out, we have F and H, and then M is in T. Now, we still need to fulfill 2 photographers being in S, and that leaves us with G and K. And rule number 4 again is triggered. K is not in T, but H and M are both in T, and that's fine. But rule number 3 is triggered. We have G in S, which means L must be in T, but we have L out here. So this doesn't work as well. So we still have one more fourth option to try out, where we have F and H and T, and then we have M out. We can try to put L in S or T. So if we put L in S, we have one more to fulfill the at least 2 photographers in each ceremony. And this triggers contrapositive of rule number 3. If L is not in T, then G is not in S. So G is not in S, meaning this one has to be K, and this is going to trigger rule number 4. If K is not in T, then we have to have H and M in T, but M is out in this scenario. So that means if M is out and L is in, L is not going to be in S. So we have our last option to try out, M being out, L being in T. So if L is in T, we have G and K in S. But we know this triggers rule number 4. If K is not in T, which it's not right now because it's in S, then H and M have to both be in T and M is out in this scenario. So this doesn't work either, meaning we actually only have 3 scenarios that work, and I'll just highlight them so it's easier for us to see visually. 1, 2, 3. And putting in the extra time to figure out these 3 options is going to make all the difference in this game, because now we're going to save a ton of time as we go through the questions. So now that we have set up our rules and our deductions, let's go ahead and hit the questions.